หลายคนนะฮะสงสัยว่าเวลาเราส่งใบสมัครให้โคลัมเบียแล้วมหาลัยเขายังไงต่อแล้วก็ปีนี้มันมีการเปลี่ยนแปลงไทม์ไลน์การสมัครของโคลัมเบียอยู่พอสมควรเลยพี่เมฆก็เลยอยากจะทำให้น้องๆเนี่ยเคลียร์ความกระจ่างตรงนี้แล้วพี่เมฆก็เลยไปชวนคุณโจซี่เนี่ยซึ่งเขาเป็น admission team เนี่ยฮะของ Columbia MBA มาเจอกันนะครับแล้วมาคุยกันเดี๋ยววันนี้เราไปดูคลิปกันเนาะว่าเขาคุยอะไรบ้างเราเข้าไปฟังกันนะครับ
Hi everyone, thank you for joining this special session between Columbia University and Mission to Top-U. I'm delighted to be joined by Josie Landers today, who is the Assistant Director of Admissions for the Columbia MBA program. Josie, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, would you like to just introduce yourself, maybe tell us how you came to work at Columbia?
Absolutely. Yeah, my name is Josie. I am an Assistant Director of Admissions. And I joined Columbia about a year ago. I love being on the team. I actually received my master's in higher education, so I've been passionate about working in the higher education space and creating opportunities for students. So happy to extend that to the MBA space.
Awesome. Let's talk about the Columbia MBA. Let's talk about the MBA experience. How would you describe that?
Absolutely. The MBA's experience is more than just the academic experience, although that's a crucial part of it. We really care about giving our students access to the finest academic spaces we can, but we also really care about expanding the professional network and the professional opportunities of our students, enabling them and empowering them to go on to achieve their professional goals. So you'll really see that embedded into the structure of the program, where we have many different student organizations and a cluster system, which is a group of about 70 students that you take your entire core curriculum with. So it really fosters that sense of community, builds that network that goes on to be a lifelong resource.
Yeah, and obviously we're based in New York for Columbia.
Yes.
What is it like being an MBA student in New York City?
The New York City experience is, really important and integral to the MBA program at Columbia. It's part of the school's identity to its core. The city itself it's fast-paced, it's exciting, but it's also the center of so many industries. So many company headquarters and offices are located in New York, and it's an important part of the experience where, our school is only a few subway stops away, and that access to one another is interchangeable. We have industry leaders coming up to campus for lectures and speaker series, but we also have students going down to interview directly with those companies. It's only 20 minutes away at most, and beyond that, the cultural scene of New York City is a huge part of the experience too. We want our students to take full advantage of living in New York and experiencing the culture of it.
Could you give us some insights into the MBA admissions process or the application process as well?
Sure, absolutely. So the process it depends on the entry that you apply for at Columbia. So our full-time MBA has 2 entry points. We have that traditional August entry, that 2-year program. But something that's pretty unique to Columbia is we also have a January entry. So this is earning the MBA on an abbreviated schedule. It's 16 months and you start in the spring semester. So you cut out a few months there. The admissions process is a little different between them. The January entry has a rolling admissions basis, and that takes place over the summertime to be admitted into the following January. And then our August entry has a rounds-based admissions. So we have 3 rounds. One is due in September, the other is January, and a final round due in April. But the application materials for all of them are the same. We require an application, a resume, a letter of recommendation, a score that can either be the GMAT, the GRE, or the executive assessment, and an interview if invited.
Okay, and speaking about that, how can someone ensure that they stand out in that process?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd say number one, be yourself, be authentic. We want to hear about your professional goals, short-term and long-term, and how an MBA can help get you there. That's what we care about at the end of the day, is opening up those doors for you. So what I'd say is, be reflective about your experiences, think about what you want to achieve, and communicate that as well as you can to us. We're looking for engaged members of our community, so we want you to show us what you're excited to be a part of at Columbia Business School, what you're excited to take advantage of, and we look forward to hearing all about it.
Okay, so that's what you're looking for. What are you not looking for? What mistakes can people avoid? Even red flags, what can people avoid?
Yeah, of course. I'd say be prepared as possible. So that's a tip of what to do. And then what not to do is, don't send in your application materials late, have them ready. I think another tip in that regard is ask your recommender well in advance, because you don't want that to be the reason that your application is submitted late. And you also want to be respectful of your recommender's time. And then, again, be authentic. So don't lie. We can usually tell if you feel like you're creating an application that's what you think we want to hear, but not true to yourself. It comes out both in the writing and in the interview. We want to see you be passionate about your industry and your goals. And so if you aren't being true to yourself, it really does show.
Okay, and talking about the MBA program again, what do you think are the main strengths of the program that perhaps differentiate it from other leading schools?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are many wonderful programs out there, but some real strengths that Columbia is really number one, our access in New York City. The New York City location is unparalleled. It's the center of so many different industries, and it's also an exciting place to live. So I'd say that is a number one strength, but another is our, faculty are, they are world class. Something that you really want to get out of your MBA is a real expanded knowledge base, and the network that comes from that as well. So, I'd also like to highlight too, in regard to our faculty, some of the electives that we have. We have really wonderful electives based particularly in sustainability. We have a huge focus on sustainability, as well as many based in tech and in social impact. So I think those are some of the main things that we are really trying to build out in the coming years and provide for our students.
And touching briefly on the J term, which is very popular among Thai students, the deadline has been brought forward this year compared to previous years. What was the rationale behind that?
Yeah, of course. So we moved the deadline for the January application up a little bit to be August 15th this year. And that's really due to two reasons. We hope it will benefit students primarily because those applicants who are admitted, we want to give them more time to prepare their move to New York City. And so all the things that come with that, finding housing, getting a visa if needed. So really, I think just more time to prepare is helpful for our incoming students. I'd also say that on our side, on the admissions team side, we want to give every round and every part of the admissions cycle the time and effort that it requires. So it's also more efficient for us to have that time, more time for round one, and also more time in the summer for January. So that helps us out.
Right. And talking about a potential student's profile and when you're evaluating them, how do you weigh GPA against GMAT against work experience?
Sure. I mean, we have a holistic admissions review, so we take all of that into account, and when things don't weigh a certain amount against the other, it's really that we're looking to see that you're going to bring an interesting and diverse perspective to the classroom. So in terms of the academic record, We also want to make sure that you're prepared for the rigor of the classroom. So we want to take a look at your transcripts to see your past academic performances and your commitment to bringing your full self to the classroom experience. With the GMAT as well, or the GRE or the executive assessment, depends on which you take, and we have no preference. I'd say that that's just another data point that helps us gauge your academic preparedness. And that also helps in terms of some students in the past, they may not have had the quantitative experience during their undergraduate degree. Maybe, we have students who majored in English and history and all kinds of majors. And so that can also be reflected in the score if it's missing in the transcript. But we also care a lot about that professional promise. So we want to see your resume to see what you've been up to, how your professional trajectory has grown so far, and how that's going to inform what you're hoping to do in the future.
Okay. And if someone has written a great application, they are invited to interview. What tips do you have for preparing for that interview?
That's a great question. I'd say, again, be prepared. Have your answers ready for why an MBA, why now, and why Columbia? What about Columbia is really speaking to you and you think you'd be a great fit for? I'd also say be timely, make sure that you log on to the Zoom interview at the on time, and have questions prepared for your interviewer too, because it's a good chance to speak to someone in the CBS community and hear about their perspective on the MBA experience as well.
Yeah. What clubs and organizations are available to MBA students at Columbia?
So there are many different clubs and organizations. We have about 200 on campus, and they're generally differentiated into 3 categories. We have our professional clubs, which cover a range of different industries, and those serve as important networks for our students looking to go through the recruiting process. They help guide them. The second years bring us perspective of what to expect because they just went through the process themselves. And it partners with our Career Management Center. So those professional clubs really help guide students to go on and achieve their professional goals. Other kinds of clubs though we have affinity clubs, which are a mix of social and professional in nature. They also serve as wonderful networks, but they also host different social activities for students to bond. So we have many different on campus, including the Asian Business Students Association, and we also have the Southeast Asian Students Association, which is a really tight-knit community on campus. And then finally, we have social clubs. This is a good way to connect with other students in, likeness outside of professional interests, hobbies you can bond over. So some popular ones I'm aware of are the running club and the gourmet club, the Follies, which is like a performing arts and comedy group. Really anything that you're interested in, you'll find your peers who are also interested in the same thing, and you can build that community together.
Sounds great. And how can you support students that are potentially looking to stay in the US after they graduate? How can you help them?
Sure. Yeah, I think that really comes back to the Career Management Center that I mentioned a minute ago, which is an office fully dedicated to supporting students in their professional journeys. So we have full-time staff that meet with our students and also provide guidance on finding those positions for after graduation, including in the US. With the MBA, which is a STEM designated degree, international students have up to 3 years of OPT for after graduation, and our staff helps them through that process of finding a position. From then on, it's usually based on company sponsorship of visas, but there's many different opportunities to work in the US and specifically in New York. I know that working in New York after graduation is a huge draw for most students.
And similarly, just going back to the curriculum, is there any specific tracks, specializations, or electives available? in the MBA program?
Yeah, so there's a few, and I'd say generally, our MBA program does not require a major or a concentration. Students are open to taking as many electives from different industry areas and focuses that they would like. But we do have some pathways that are recommended for students. A lot of students do like to kind of focus in on one area that's usually relevant to their career. So we have a really robust venture capitals program. We also have another robust private equity program. Our Lang Center for Entrepreneurship has many different resources and electives specifically for aspiring entrepreneurs to help build and scale their ventures. Now other programs I would love to highlight that are really strong at CBS are the Real Estate Center. We also have a Healthcare and Pharmaceuticals program that has amazing electives. So with our MBA, we don't require students to declare a major or concentration. That really opens them up to taking courses in a variety of areas and focuses that they would like. And so we have many different focuses on campus. We have a reputation for being a finance school, and I think it's well deserved in the sense that we have a strong finance program. But we also have many different industries represented at CBS. So, we have centers in healthcare, in real estate, in media and tech. We have a lot of students in marketing and entertainment. And so there's a lot of representation across industries. While students don't have to specialize in one area per se, a lot of them do tend to take most of their courses in an area that's relevant to their industry. But they also have that flexibility to expand their knowledge base and diversify their skill set. I'd say there's a couple exceptions though of specialized pathways that students do tend to really focus on, and those few exceptions I'd say are the venture capitals program, the private equity program, and the Lang Center also offers a fellowship for entrepreneurs. This is a really robust program that helps build and scale their startups for our students, and that can be a really great opportunity.
Sounds great. Finally, could you tell us about the alumni network and how active it is?
It's very active. Even just my experiences here in Southeast Asia have been really wonderful in showing how tight-knit the alumni community is. I was at a panel last night. We had an event of alumni, and you could see just how connected they were. They were talking about different events they were going to go to together and how they helped each other in their careers over the past 20 years. So that was really great to see. And our alumni network is truly a global network. We have over 50,000 alumni around the world, and you really see that in action as they support each other and lift each other up on their professional journeys. I'd also really am appreciative of the alumni for being part of the entire life cycle of the MBA. They interview applicants in the admissions process. They meet with MBA students one-on-one to give guidance during the recruiting processes and to answer questions about their fields. And then they welcome those graduates with open arms into their alumni communities around the world. So it's a very powerful network that a lot of alumni credit as really important factors in their careers.
Perfect. Well, I think we've covered a lot of bases today. Massive thank you to you, Josie, for coming to see us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and if there's anyone watching that maybe has further questions, do you have a contact, an email, something like that?
Yes, I encourage you to reach out to our main email. It's apply@gsb.columbia.edu. That's a really great way to get your questions answered and connect with members of our admissions team.
Awesome. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
โอเคก็จบกันไปแล้วนะฮะสำหรับการสัมภาษณ์เนอะแบบสุด Exclusive ที่พี่เมฆกับทีมงานเราก็ไปชวนทางคุณโจซี่ที่เป็น Admission Team มาคุยกันได้แต่แน่นอนน้องๆอาจจะมีคำถามเพิ่มเติมนะฮะไม่ต้องกังวลไปเราทักทายกันเข้ามาที่ Line @Mission to Top-U นะครับ ใครอยากจะคุยนานๆปรึกษาฟรีกันได้เลยทักมาทางไลน์แล้วนัดหมายเวลากันใครที่มีคำถามอยากรู้เรื่องโคลัมเบียหรือว่าเรื่องอื่นๆเนี่ยเรามีทีมงานมีหุ้นส่วนเนี่ยที่พร้อมจะดูแลน้องๆอย่างเต็มที่เลยในทุกๆมหาลัยที่น้องอยากเข้านะฮะใครยังไม่ได้กด Subscribe ช่อง Mission Top-U เราก็กดได้เลยนะครับจะได้ไม่พลาดคอนเทนต์ดีๆเพราะอนาคตเราก็มีมหาลัยอื่นๆรอที่จะให้ความรู้น้องๆเช่นกันวันนี้พี่เมฆลากันไปก่อนนะแล้วเดี๋ยวเราพบกันในโอกาสถัดไปบ๊ายบายครับ